Welcome back, everybody. This is Penny, and we're here with our second episode of MegaMan X6. First off, I want to thank everyone who's came out for my first showing. Anyone who, left me comments anywhere, really appreciate it. I'm really just trying things out, trying to give myself this chance to just work on my own ability to kind of just talk about games and show them to people. So everyone who's left comments or even just watched, I really appreciate it. So, but today we're gonna get right back into where we left off. I believe we beat 2 of the Nightmare Investigators last time. So from here, yeah, we beat Commander Yammerk and Ground Scaravich. From there, let's see, I'm trying to remember who comes next on this one. Let's see. I think it might be Blaze Heatnix who comes next. Let me just make sure I'm keeping my memory of this right. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing next. This level, well, actually, before we do that, let's see, have we gotten any parts? We can equip a part. Let's see, which one do we want here? I'm gonna give Speedster to 0. That's gonna let us move faster. It doesn't affect our dash speed, which is a separate part that we'll get later, but we're gonna go here. I say a lot of times there's infamous things in this game. This is definitely also an infamous level. We're gonna fight Blaze Heatnix, going through the magma area. Anyone who's played this game knows what we're about to see. But if not, I hope you'll enjoy. So here we go. Here is the gimmick for this stage, which are these mini bosses. Which, as you can see, you have to destroy each of these 4 orbs to defeat this boss. And it is basically just kind of a clusterfuck. It's going to shoot orbs at you and move in a pattern, and you have to dodge those orbs and hit all those different spots. This is the other major gimmick of this stage. These little dragonflies. Come on. There we go. They just get in your way and are annoying. Yeah, a fun thing with these nightmare creatures here is that the souls they drop, they can spawn inside a wall to where you cannot hit them. And if that orb actually lingers too long on the screen without you picking it up, it will respawn the enemy. And then you also lose that orb entirely. Here's our second one. Time to go for more of this. This is just the kind of person I am, but the fact that the hit stun on hitting these orbs causes the game to lag like it does is just entirely my shit. We'll wait for this one to come back around. And thankfully once you destroy an orb they can't fire bullets at you, but there we go. So let's see, what can I do here? I'm trying to remember. So if you go up here, there is an alternate path. I'm gonna collect stuff from this alternate path, but we're not gonna go down the alternate path right now. We're just gonna collect these Reploids. Because there's so many here. And also there's a part for X. 0. Please give this armor program to X. Collect 4 programs to complete the armor. I'll give X the arm program of the Shadow Armor. Lets him fire in 3 directions simultaneously. Go and defeat the evil of this world. I actually do want to collect all the armor parts just so I can show off all the different move sets X gets in this game, even though we are playing as Zero. So I'll try my best to remember where all the armor is. I might have to replay some levels to get some of them, but, you know. There we go. Yeah, most of the recruits in this stage are actually, like, on the way to this alternate path. If you're playing as X, getting to this path is much harder, since X can't double jump. You actually need one of the nightmare phenomena that comes from another stage that'll spawn blocks here that'll help you. Anyway, you actually have to replay this stage multiple times anyway to get everything, because there are rescues. There are 2 paths I could have taken there for the main part of the level, and they each have recruits. I believe, anyway. I should double check that. Yep, there we go. There's one recruit there, and I believe the upper path that I skipped has it. I just accidentally used one of Zero's moves here that we got from Ground Scaravich, since they're directional inputs. But let's see. Yeah, the dragonflies are not so much of a nuisance for Zero comparatively, although there are some places, except for when they do that. But they can block X's bullets when he's trying to shoot enemies, so, you know, that's not fun. Here we get an auto-scroller. And also a boss in part of that auto-scroller. You can see why this level is perhaps a well-known one from this game. If I touch that lava, it's instant death, so we'll try our best to avoid it. Come on. Okay, didn't get a hit there, but it's fine. There we go. We've destroyed most of the orbs. If you can actually defeat the boss, it'll end this auto-scroller faster. Whew. Very close. Take some hits there. Let's try and get the boss to spawn on this side. There we go. Very close. We're probably gonna die to the boss just due to my health. Probably gonna get a death here, but it's fine. We've made some pretty good progress. And then let's try and get him to kite over here. There we go. Yep, so here is our boss. Let's see what we actually have to say here. Getting hotter and hotter. The investigator must be ahead. Investigator for this area is Blaze Heatnix. Find out its weak point just in case. Cool. Not very useful information, but... It's too hot here. Let's finish this. A vigorous guy. I've been waiting. You look so strong compared with the others. I was bored because there is no strong Reploid left on the ground, although I was ordered not to kill. It's too hard, isn't it? Hehehe. I'm not interested in your talk. Will you fight or not? Good, let's fight. There we go. So his weakness is Ground Scaravich's move. Which is basically it's a jump and then an up slash. You can do that. There we go. Hey, look at that! I didn't even die. Although I think if I'd got hit by that, I would have. There we go. Get the Nightmare Soul. One thing about this game that is like maybe the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that sticks with me is I just do really love the soundtrack for the PlayStation Mega Man X games. It's like so corny, heavy, like guitars and stuff, but it just like, it's the vibe I need for this kind of game. So we got the Magma Blade, that's for X, and then for 0, it's the Shoenzan. Press attack button while holding up. It's going to be an uppercut kind of move. We get our rescues, got some life and weapon energy. There's a part for X that we can't use. Blaze Heatnix, an X-investigator for the hot spot. His ability is far beyond the others. He could research any dangerous area. All other members who fell behind were killed. Gate, who created Heatnix, improved his powers and strengths. In order to prevent any more victims, Heatnix was disposed deep underground. Thank you, Alia. Also, if you didn't notice, whenever you do go to, like, save your game, overwrite is written right, W-R-I-G-H-T. Again, it's just, you know, the conditions that this game were released in were probably not ideal for anybody. And unfortunately, you can see a lot of the results of that, although they are funny in some cases. But so here, we're going to go, since we got the fire weapon, we're going to go to the ice level. And if you notice, we actually have a nightmare phenomena here. We're going to see it pretty heavily. Not going to take the most advantage of it just yet, I don't think, because I'll need some equipment before I do some stuff in this level. So this level, it's an ice level, so probably can know what that means for a platform game. We're gonna have some ice physics. Thankfully with Zero's jumping, you can, you know, minimize the worst of it. All the Reploids you save here are wolves also, which is great. Very excited for that. And you have to deal with all these falling rocks. Yeah, so, you know, I talked in the last thing about, you know, what is it exactly I'm going to do with this channel, with trying to do Let's Plays, and I've figured out a couple plans. I've got a game lined up that I'm probably actually going to start recording today after this, if I feel the energy for it. But I have some plans, thankfully, just thanks to some new releases in the world. For me, you know, I talked about, you know, just really wanting to, like, show people things, like, things they might not check out, things that have, like, maligned reputations. I definitely, for me, playing games like this, there's a lot of, you know, a thing that I've not necessarily been super enjoying as of late is there's a particular brand of, like, playing bad games, of, like, checking out weird, obscure things, and it kind of, like, let's see, I'm trying to remember if I can get through to this. I want to see. Oh, no. Not going to do that. There's a way in which, you know, a lot of playing weird old games is kind of a, like, let's look at this shit sort of thing, or if this, isn't this, a lot of people will, like, go, isn't it crazy that they thought they could make a game this way, or just a very, like, dismissive attitude towards very non-traditional, like, ideas of what games can be. I see this a lot with, like, Twitch streamers and stuff, especially, where, like, people will play you know, a game that is not, like, it's got a weird control scheme, or, like, some piece of it doesn't, oh, by the way, you can just skip that. You don't have to worry about the auto-scroller if you can jump up high enough. Except on this side, there's spikes. Even though they're, like, buried in the wall, they will kill you if I touch the side there. Let's see, can I make this? Nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do that yet. But there's just a particular, like, vibe towards the way like a lot of people check out games, that is just this reinforces the belief that, like, you know, this reinforces like an idea about like the other games they play, or just this sort of way that it's just like taken with a tone of like mockery and not looking at like really interesting ideas that maybe a lot of other developers could actually like learn from, or things that you could like find interesting just about a game experience. Because for me, I honestly don't always, like, I would not say I necessarily play games to like have fun. For me, I'm really interested in like unique experiences that like make me think about what I'm doing, like what I'm interfacing with. And for me, like, the messiness of a game that is like considered, you know, quote unquote bad can provide a lot of like really interesting things to think about in terms of like what interfacing with a game does. And so at the very least, you know, I will play a bunch of games that I think are absolute dog shit, you know, even with their reputation, or like I'll play a bunch of really bad licensed games, and you know, like, maybe I'll have a bad time, but, you know, I will get a very different experience than just playing, like, you know, if I play all the Mega Man X games in a row, I'm mostly getting a very similar experience, even if the quality between games can vary wildly. And so, you know, when it comes to the end of the day, I kind of only replay one or two of these Mega Man games, you know, when I get the urge to replay them, because a lot of them are kind of the same. So for me, I really am just all about like trying to seek out these kinds of new experiences, and that's what I hope I can try and convey with this channel in some ways, of just like, it's interesting to play something that is bad, especially if it's bad in a way that makes you think about the process of like game development, how games are released, all those sorts of things. Anyway, we're at a boss. This is Blizzard Wolfang. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Zero, I heard that you returned. I won't die so easily. Don't think badly of me, Zero. I won't disobey Gate. I must pay for my past sins. Besides, I have a new mission. You know what I mean. Let's fight. I have no choice. You will lose. So here's our next boss. We're gonna see a pattern here, which is I can do this. There we go. Let's see, there we go. Except I'm missing my opportunities to actually hit him. I'm just gonna... There we go. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Just thinking about the path I need to take to get some parts, to get some of the items I was looking at in this stage earlier, because they're one of the most important parts in the game is in this stage. We do not have access to it yet. There are multiple ways we can get access to it, but so far this is what we can do. So we got Ice Burst for X. With him, it actually shoots a block out, and you can use that for platforming. It's very important. We get the Hydroga for Zero. If you press jump while holding up, Zero is going to do a massive leap into the air that lets him cling to the ceiling. Also important for getting height if you can't like climb a wall necessarily. You know, we got our parts here. I think a lot of those were named after Capcom characters. Blizzard Wolfang, an ex-leader investigator of the North Pole area. One day his team members were attacked by Mavericks. Although Wolfang was able to defeat the Mavericks, his team members were annihilated. Researchers who opposed Gate schemed to dispose of Wolfang and took advantage of the incident. They made it look like an accident. Wolfang was thrown into the cold sea. I did it, but I was deceived into doing it. Alia's like long list of just like war crimes in these games is pretty great. Every story she tells at the end of a boss is a delight to me. she basically just like personally murdered everybody that we fight. So let's see, we got ice. Let's see, so we can use that in the Inami Temple, but let's see. No, we can't. We don't have any limited parts yet. The third slot in the equips you have here apply only to these items that we don't have yet. We actually are missing a lot of rescues with parts, but we'll get them as we keep going through. I mean, I'm not going to do it 100%, obviously, but we already failed at that, I think, with the one in Infinity Minions alternate zone. But here we go, Rainy Turtleoid. We're going to see a familiar stage hazard doing this level, so get ready for the return of our favorite. Let's see, there we go. And here we go, so darkness. Darn, it's some kind of a trap. It's raining. I don't pick up any sign of rain in that area. It must be the nightmare phenomenon. Stay alert. I am gradually getting damaged. However, it's strange that I've been recovering when I'm on this machine. I can't guarantee your safety, but it's better to use them if they are helpful. But I'm worried about the rain. Is there any way to stop the nightmare rain? So yeah, this rain is going to slowly drain our health. We have to deal with it. These little eye creatures here are what control the rain. We have to destroy them. And, you know, with the darkness as it is, it makes it really hard to see them. There's usually, I believe, about 4 per rain zone, so that at least can help you get an idea of if you're missing any. But we're gonna get behind this guy. There we go. There was one there. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. There's one over here. So yeah, doing all this platforming, kind of annoying when you can't see shit. Yeah, there was a rescue up there that we got. There we go. And no, there is like no way to get rid of the darkness effect in those areas because the darkness is also endemic to this stage. So we have to deal with that. That is just what this stage is a lot of kind of blind jumps. And also now we get these floating platforms. Everybody's favorite. This is another reason why playing as Zero I find especially nice, because the double jump can give you a lot of extra stability for making these kinds of jumps if you plan it badly. There we go. Let's see. Ah, there we go. We died, yeah. It's fine. But we got the rescue. Getting a rescue, of course, gives me an extra life, so it, like, I mean, I had 9 already, so it won't, so it didn't actually affect anything, but as soon as I get another one, I'll get that life back to normal. This game actually is really, you know, this game actually ends up being very generous with its continue system. Not only can you really get a lot of lives, but continues don't force you to start a stage from the beginning, generally. They usually just start you back at your checkpoint, so you get as many tries as you need to get through a stage without having to redo everything. Unless you think, you know, you need to go somewhere else, or you need to, like, re-equip your parts to deal with some obstacles. But generally speaking, it's, like, forgiving in how much it will at least try to help you get through the stage, even if the stage itself is very, unforgiving. Which, you know, does make you kind of question if this game needed a lives system. But we have to be careful here. There's a lot of spike pits right here on the sides of every one of these platforms. If you can actually go through the, let's see, trying to make sure. Yep, there we go. I touched the spikes and died. if you can go through those spikes, there's actually stuff hidden on every side of them. So we'll have to come back and do that at some point because there's a very important part that we'll be getting also through that. There we go. Also, there's a bit under the rescue there. There's bits under like all of these rescues actually. So with Zero, to actually get past these spike traps, you have to damage boost. I'm not gonna bother with that right now when we're just trying to beat the levels, but there's another way to get through it with X. There's actually multiple ways to get through it with X. One's harder than the other. But we'll show off doing that later on. Right now, we're just mostly trying to get all the bosses defeated so we have all the abilities that we need to get through a lot of these things, and then we can mess around with doing some stage revisits to collect parts that we need. So Rainy Turtleoid. Are you Rainy Turtleoid? Zero, the famous Maverick Hunter. X and Zero are Reploids I respect. Fine, so don't fight me, help me. I've been resurrected to carry out an important duty, a very important duty given by my master. Although I brought shame on my master, he allowed me to live. That's why I have to finish my duty, even if it means sacrificing my life. I see. So, Rainy Turtleoid. You can't hurt him regularly. These little bits on his shield, they actually, they have to be destroyed to let you damage him. There's actually a lot of stuff you can do with the iframes with Rainy Turtleoid as well. There's, a lot of ways to just immediately, instantly eviscerate him, but we're just going to show off his moves a little bit by taking it a little slower. Not that much slower. So, let's see, yep, still at a GA rank. We got the Meteor Rain with X, and we have Ensuizan for 0, weapon and down buttons. We got our parts, let's see, no parts here yet. Rainy Turtleoid, ex-investigator of the Water Purity Improvement Team. He had Tortoise Shell Shield to counter the strong acid rain. Thanks to him, we can explore areas that have a pollution level A, but his high defense ability was regarded as too dangerous. Requests to weaken Turtleoid ran high. Gate opposed this and was punished. Turtleoid was so loyal to Gate, in the end, he died to save Gate. Yeah, still no new parts, but let's see. From here, we're gonna do the Recycle Lab. Metal Shark Player. This also a level that I think a lot of people probably have bad memories of from this game. We'll see why shortly. But we do get to use ride armor. So, this level, it's got a ceiling that falls. It will kill me if I get crushed. That's it. This level's just very slow. It's a lot of waiting around for cycles to go through. Sometimes you can stand, sometimes you have to crouch, or you'll die. If I dashed right here, even while crouching, I will die. There we go. First phase down. Also, here's our new ability that we got from Raining Turtleoid we can spin. It's actually very important for a glitch that you can do. I believe that's the ability you use for a glitch in this level. If I see what I'm looking for, I can show it off, but we might not be able to. Can't remember if it requires nightmare phenomena in this level or not. There we go. Yeah, we're not gonna see it, I think. So in the Nightmare Phenomena version of this level, there are extra blocks that spawn, and they can be destroyed with the Ensuizan ability. And they're stacked on top of each other, and they're actually like, they kind of have like physics to them, essentially, where if you destroy a block, it'll cause the others to fall. And doing that, if you're under the block when it falls, it will damage you. And there's a way that you can do this, where if you fall just right, or if you let the block fall on you while you're in the middle of an animation, it causes, you get damaged, and it does it in a way where you become invulnerable for the rest of the stage. So you don't really have to worry about, I don't think you have to worry about getting crushed. I'd have to double check on that. But it's a fun glitch. It's a little hard to execute, but I've done it once. Hard to execute, you know, relatively speaking. I'm sure, like, for people who speedrun a lot of this is not very hard. But, you know, I play pretty casually. I'm not, like, trying to grind out inputs, so I consider it hard. Anyway, the second half of this stage adds a bunch of environmental bullshit to the floor to make this even more annoying. Like a lot of spikes. Probably not gonna get that. Yeah, nope. Oh. Hit my desk. There we go. Now here's the part that's really annoying. I'm just gonna make sure I get all the enemies cleared out of my way. But having to do some of these little bits right here. Yeah, nope. We're gonna crouch for a minute. Let's see. Oh, this guy's gonna really ruin my day. Please. Let's see, I might have to Yammer option him. No, okay, he came to me. There we go. Yeah, another fun thing, so those little, like, crouching spots, if, like, you get hit while you're crouching, you will go out of the crouch animation, and it will kill you. So you have to be careful with, like, guys like that who can hit you with a projectile through walls. There we go. We're gonna chill here for a moment. Crouch again. Play it all very, very, very safe. And we're out of that. And now here's the mini-boss. You have to destroy these little bits. It's pretty simple. Only the pink ones can get hurt, so... Yeah, I need to start on the left side, I think, to get this guy to spawn proper. Oh. There we go. That's what we wanted. There we go. And that's the end of this stage. We are now at the boss, thankfully. Didn't die once to the Crusher, which is great. If you die, it takes so long to have to do it all over again. Because the checkpoint is not very nice. In this stage in particular, the checkpointing is not very nice. What are you doing? I don't have time for this. What do you want, Metal Shark player? I want DNA. Excellent DNA. But I don't need your DNA data. Shut up and fight. Fine. Hehehe. Metal Shark player is actually a really cool boss. If we get to see any of his attacks, I'm not sure if we will. Some of his like specials. I might see if I can let this play out a little longer to get some of those abilities. Though I will need to hurt him a bit to get some of those to appear. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Yeah! So one of Metal Shark Player's things when he talks about, like, you know, he uses all this DNA, is that he, summons old bosses from the older games. He specifically summons bosses from, MegaMan X1, I believe. He can also summon Storm Eagle alongside Sting Chameleon. Very fun. Yeah, you know, once you've, you know, for someone like me at least who plays a lot of these, you know, going through these first bosses, it's pretty quick for me. Just because, you know, I at least got a lot of familiarity with the stages and all that. We got the Raku Kojin for 0, press attack and down in the air. We got our rescues. Got a part for 0, Saber Extend, which is going to increase the range of Zero's Saber. Metal Shark Player, an ex-investigator of Recycle Team. He studied recycling in order to create a new Reploid from parts of disposed Mavericks. His most important work was to analyze and control DNA of the Mavericks. His analysis ability was so great that he succeeded in resurrecting dead Mavericks. Since DNA resurrection is explicitly prohibited, the law instantly dealt with him. Gate was also interested in DNA resurrection, so he encouraged him to collect the DNA data instead of stopping him. Metal Shark would have continued if Gate had stopped him. Don't know if that sentence makes sense, but... So there's 6 down, we've got 2 to go. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. Believe up next is going to be the laser area, Laser Institute. Let's see. I don't need Saber Extend actually. Shield Sheldon. I know that the second name is supposed to be probably Sheldon, but he is Shield Sheldon. We will be fighting Shield Sheldon. This level is very funny for a number of reasons that we'll see pretty soon. Just for our initial visit. First off, there's a lot of invisible floors here. Alia would have told me about that if I had talked to her, but you can basically just get a good sense of if there's a platform there or not if people are standing by it. Now here's the main gimmick of this level. These laser shooters. They will shoot at regular intervals. They will aim towards your general direction based on some specific positioning. They don't like to cooperate. And you have to wait for them to move one by one like this. There we go. So those are the blocks from Metal Shark players that you could see there. You could make yourself invulnerable by hurting yourself with one of them. Anyway, laser reflection puzzles. Everybody knows them from video games. We gotta do it here. And These enemies love to make the game lag by doing that. There we go. And look at that. Here's the boss. That was the level. That's the level. If you're just trying to fight Shield Sheldon, that's the level. Shield Sheldon, too bad about your previous life. Don't be. I was new as a bodyguard, that's all. Maverick hunters are supposed to be able to tell a Maverick from a Reploid. Our officers are not good enough. They could cost us everything. Reploids all over the world have been needing you. I was useless as a bodyguard, and was useless to everyone else. When I accepted that fact, I accepted my fate. However, there turned out to be someone who needs me. He has given me one more chance, and therefore I'm going to fulfill my mission as a bodyguard now. I'll protect him, even if it means that I have to sacrifice my life. Come on, Zero. Shield Sheldon's a boss that really benefits from those iframe abuse glitches because he has a lot of periods of invulnerability through his attack patterns. We're not really gonna mess with it too much because I want to at least, you know, get to see the abilities and stuff. He does this. Yeah, very simple. The ability from Metal Shark Player is a kind of a gosh, what is it? A downward stab, one of those kind of like spike abilities. We'll be using it for sure later on, but yeah, sometimes I kind of just forget to show off things like boss weaknesses because of I'm so used to playing the game in this specific way. But Guard Shell, it's going to summon a shield in front of us. Pretty simple. Both X and Zero get to use that ability. Shield Sheldon, ex-security police. He guarded Dr. Jim, who was an important person in the laboratory. Suddenly, Dr. Jim became a Maverick. However, he was able to control himself. The Maverick Hunters identified Sheldon as a Maverick just because he was created by Gate. Sheldon could not deal with being labeled, so he ended it all. Thanks, Alia. Yeah. It truly is just the kind of the case where, like, you think you might be the bad guys. I don't know if this Maverick Hunter business is good for anybody. But now we're going back to the Weapon Center for the real playthrough. We've done this level before. Pretty simple. I don't really know if I have much to say on it. Yeah. You know, it's been nice trying to talk through my process going through games like this because I definitely is a thing I've struggled with a lot, just like finding ways to communicate myself. And so trying to like talk through a lot of the process of like why I do things kind of like as I go through a game is pretty nice. I'm sure as I keep doing these videos and go through them, I'll be able to have more interesting things to say. Oh yeah, we have something new here, which is from Shield Sheldon, we get these blocks. Those are, when I was talking about in Blaze Heatnix's level, doing a platform that's going to make it easier for X to get to the nightmare area, the alternate path, that was what I was talking about. Also, you might have noticed that these nightmare Mavericks or whatever, the nightmare enemies here, they have their souls again. Normally, like, you know, if you kill them and destroy another, their souls don't come back. But when you go through the alternate path and beat the boss at the end of the path, it actually does respawn the it respawns their drops, which is how you have to do this if you want to grind out the soul level to get like max parts. Which is tedious. I'm not doing that. I don't need that many parts. So we're not taking the alternate path this time. We're just going to go straight through to the boss. The shortness of a lot of these stages because of how they do the alternate path stuff is pretty funny. You know, it gives you an easy one here and there for just like getting through. It's the game with like very wild like difficulty curves randomly. Infinity Majinian, weren't you dead? You heard wrong. You are Infinity Maginian, one of the investigators for the nightmares, aren't you? Are the other investigators useless fleas? That's the only explanation as to why I have to clean up their messes. But wait, why are you here anyway? Don't tell me you destroyed my sweet Illumina. What do you think? Maverick, I haven't even tested her, and I was thinking that I'll destroy all the thick-headed so-called authorities with her. You will die. This boss sucks. Just gonna say that right up front. Every time you like hit him with a major ability, he gets like knocked through over to the side, and he spawns a new clone every time, and they all have their own attacks. You can summon enough of them that it starts to lag the screen. You know, it's not great. With Zero, using the shield's a little annoying, because I'm trying to remember. I think it shoots the bullet when he shoots his gun. Yeah. But yeah, I generally don't use Guard Shell in this game. It's not a yeah, I'm trying to remember the actual specific activations for how it shoots a bullet out, but it's one of those that I just never bothered with, so I don't actually use it. But there we go. That was our last Nightmare Investigator. We're ready to go towards the end game, except we're not doing that just yet. Ray Arrow for X. We got some parts there. Deconverter and Speed Shot. Infinity Maginian, X-Test pilot for large weapons. He had a special body that could process at high speed. He ignored the test program, choosing instead to go on his schedule. He produced excellent results, but he always had trouble with the other staff. Even Gate was unable to control him. One day he was disposed of by making it look like an accident. And that's our last little tidbit we're going to learn about these bosses from Alia. So we get a nice little cutscene next, since we've beat our investigators. So we're going to see Gate, as we basically are going to confront him. Yeah, pretty simple, pretty standard as far as you go. What was I saying before we, you know, I'm really glad I'm like trying to break out into talking a bit more. That was really like one of my biggest goals, was trying to do this kind of project, is really just to get myself talking more, because, you know, I can type pretty well. I can, you know, it takes me a little time to, like, you know, maybe write out my thoughts, or like to try to process thoughts in some ways. So just trying to fill time talking into a microphone. It's something I'm hoping will just let me be able to talk about what I'm doing, about like the games I'm playing more thoroughly, just talk about things in general. So yeah, hopefully folks enjoy the commentary I'm giving for how much I'm talking about how I'm enjoying doing it, trying to figure this out. Yeah. So yeah, you know, Maverick Hunters. Gate really has a point of how gosh, I always think about like X4's plot, which is like truly X and Zero just being like fully evil cops, but murdered my works instead of appreciating them. Wonder who did that. So yeah, we're of course going to respond to perhaps this injustice that we did previous by just murdering everybody, and it'll all be fine. So yeah, we will. Yeah, Gates Laboratory. That is the area that we're going to be going to, but not yet, because we're actually going to do some cleanup and collect some parts. Gate is behind everything. Stop his evil. We've located his secret laboratory. Let's stop the nightmares now. we can go there. Let's see. I need to remember which part I need to get first, though. Let's see. We're gonna do Inami Temple. I think that's one of the parts I'm gonna get, and we're gonna do that damage boosting thing I talked about at the very end. So we gotta go all the way back through this level. And we'll take an alternate path while we're at it too. We actually missed the opportunity to do something special with the alternate paths. Maybe I can show it off at the end of this whole thing on a fresh save or something. There's actually, this game actually lets you sequence skip a lot. There is a fight. Did I already get them? I might have already got them all. There's a way that you can actually skip right to Gates Laboratory without fighting all the investigators if you want to, although you do need to fight a lot of them. There are a few that you need to, the few levels you need to go through just to get parts that are required for, like, you know, comfortably beating the game without struggling and going through hell. Even like the speed runs will go through, they'll take this path, but they'll make sure to clear a few bosses to get some parts that they need. But if you wanted to, you have to beat at minimum 1 Nightmare Investigator and unlock 0 to do this, because the boss you have to fight to do it does require a special weapon. There we go. So yeah, we're just doing this all again. If you have an E-Tank, which I haven't actually picked up any yet, this is a good little spot to just pick up some energy if you're fast enough to not get hurt between picking them up. There we go. Okay. So, I have to remember which path has what in it. Okay, let's see. Let's get a... Come on. Get a bat over here. Oh, come on. Be a little nicer about it. Oh. Forgot. You have to... there's 2 paths there. So yeah. It's a very mean thing to have to do a 0. But we're gonna push through and try to get a few of these. Ah, close. I need a, gosh, there's a hyper extender, I think it's called, that doubles your iframes. Be very useful for that. But we'll... Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I don't have a dash ability. If you time your jump dashes just right, you can dash through that. Very hard, and especially when you don't have a part that extends your dash, which is very important. Let's see, come on, get me a hit. Come on. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can do it. There we go. Ugh. If I remember, that's just, yeah. Trying to remember what parts. Okay, that is the alternate zone. I actually don't want to do that one just yet. There we go. Get our... Yeah, see? You can dash through some of those because those are shorter. There we go. And we will go into the alternate zone. Never gonna believe what the alternate zone is. It's more of the same. We have to do the exact same thing we've been doing, which is go through here and destroy those bits to destroy a rain generator. Except now there's more spikes to deal with. Let's see. There we go. Let me make sure there wasn't someone to rescue there. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Help pick up. I think this is probably... No, there we go. Gosh. Truly do not remember the actual seat ordering of some of these platforms. But that's what it is. That's what it happens when you play only like once a year. Yeah, thankfully they do set the enemies to have a slightly, I think, higher drop rate of health pickups in this zone, just so you don't like timer out in terms of what you can collect to heal before you die. Come on. And there we go. Though there is this there. So, after we beat Nightmare Zero, what left is there in these alternate paths to fight? How are you doing? Save us time and run away now. Shut up. I may be a coward, but I'm here for the nightmares. I've been gathering them, thinking I might be able to enhance my powers. So you do me a favor? Give me all the DNA souls you've gathered. This is Dynamo from MegaMan X5. He's back. He's weak to this move. If you hit him with it twice, he drops Nightmare Souls for you to get a pretty hefty amount. He's very easy. You can fight him again and again, get more souls, and it resets the counter for enemies you fight too. Oh, give me a break. And he disappears. So... if you came here before you unlock Gates Laboratory, you actually fight Hymax again from the very beginning of the game. And if you can manage to beat him, it does unlock Gates Laboratory immediately. It's a hard fight, comparatively, but... Oh, look, we got our first purple part, our limited parts. And a part, I think that is the one that I wanted. Yes, Hyper Dash. And Saber Plus as well. I don't think we need Saber Plus. I believe that's kind of already on... Zero, but I'll put it on. The Hyper Dash is the big part that we needed. Very important for getting most of everything else that we need. I'll do one more little stage catch-up thing, and then I'll probably end our little session for now. But let's see, I need to unequip part. We're gonna take off Speedster, because Speedster doesn't apply to dashes. So, and we usually almost always dash, so it's better to just have Speedster. Let's see, what can I do with that now? I'm trying to think here. Let's try and get this part here, except I can't do that yet. We're gonna go to Magma area. Because we have to set a Nightmare Phenomena in Blizzard Wolfang level. To do that. If I remember correctly, I can just do this, though. And then we'll go back to our stage select. There we go. So we're going to go back here. Now that it's got the heat, I showed off actually what the heat does last time. I don't think I actually commented on the fact that it does it, but there's a specific path that opens up when you have the fireballs fall from the sky in this stage. So we will be working on going back to that area and getting the stuff we couldn't get last time. There we go. Oh. Playing it a lot more loose since I have a lot of health down. That'll probably bite me in the ass, but it's fine. It's fine. There we go. And we're back. So yeah, you can see that like my movement speed. This is the spot. If you didn't actually collect the if you hadn't done the nightmare effect here. Let's see. Actually, I do need to. Come on, hit me again. I actually want to damage boost this one. Ugh, there we go. Simple. Oh, don't do that. We're gonna go the alternate path here. So yeah, you actually can't go to access this side of that area without the magma area nightmare effect. So here, it's more. We're gonna have a little downward path. There's supposed to be like little blocks that can fall behind you. You'll have to deal with all the little orbs because we're still in the nightmare zone. And this. I actually need to see if I get one to fall for me, please. Come on. Come on. There we go. That was what we needed. Very long path. Very hard to get just as 0. But damage boosting and the hyper dash can let us get it. There's a way to get it pretty easy with X again, but we're playing a 0 right now. So we're gonna get back to the end of this zone. Oh, the ice physics are great. I was not holding any directional input when that happened, so. And hey, look, it's our friend Dynamo again. Have you solved the mystery of the nightmare? That's not your business. Leave. The nightmare soul is nice DNA. I want that power, so I will take the souls you collected. I believe he has a unique line for each stage you encounter him in, if I recall correctly. Either that or it's just a set number that he cycles through before he stops giving you pop-ups. You're too serious. Later, Zero. And there we go. So yeah, that was the last thing I was going to do today. Next time, well, first let's see what we got, because that's important. So, the rescue. We got Dante. That was who we needed. Jumper. That increases our jump height. Very, very nice to have, especially since Zero can double jump. Yeah, so we're done there for now. When I come back, I'm going to probably focus on getting all X's armor parts. I'm not going to do every alternate. I don't know if I'm going to do every alternate path. It depends on how quick they go. But we're going to get X's armor. I'm going to show that off, and then we can probably start working on the final stages. I'm going to go ahead and equip Jumper, because we want that. We have to unequip Master Saber first. There we go. But yeah. Actually, I don't know why I did that, because I can't save yet. But yeah, thanks as always. If you've watched, you know, I appreciate everyone's comments. Hope you enjoyed, and I will be back next time.